So good day to each and everyone. For today, I will be discussing about the protective and reactive approach to security in cyberspace. The world use of independence on international computer network foster transnational computer crime. Sophisticated criminals are able to operate from a distance, route their malicious communication through other countries, in cover up or confuse the origin of their attack. To respond to attack in a timely and effective manner, system operation need to monitor user behavior and detect instruction in real time to identify suspect and launch investigation once a crime is detected. Large-scale screening, tracing, and analysis of electronic evidence may be required, such as realities not only complicate law enforcement activities but also require new methods for investigation and prosecution, including technological and legal arrangement for international cooperation, such as method demands substantial commitments of technological, economic, and human resources, state as well as commercial and other public and private entities face difficult trade-offs and allocating resources, fight cybercrime, increase network security and investigate measure may came at the expense of network performance, privacy, and users' desire for anonymity. State may also find their domestic laws, national security objectives, and political or economic priorities at odds with the condition required for effective international cooperation. So there are two basic approach to security in cyberspace. A protective one and a reactive one. So each is constrained in different ways. First, the protective approach aims to deter criminals through measures that deny access or make a potential target less vulnerable to an attack. This approach is focused on defense. It involves designing more secure internet protocols, introducing trusted routers and virtual private networks, and utilizing firewalls, encryption, automated instruction, and detection system, and other security measures. The reactive approach also is instead seek to deter and treat through effective investigation, prosecution, and punishment. These both approach involve monitoring and diagnosing abnormal and unauthorized activity. The protective approach favors automation as well as oversight and decision making by computer security experts. The reactive one depends more heavily on the participation of law enforcement and requires an user-oriented rather than anonymous traffic analysis, which may be instructive as scanning attack files, keyboard searches, and content filtering for sign of potential branches of criminal law. Real-time investigate the capabilities makes tend to create creating embodied data collection, ins- infrastructures, and modifying hardware and or software to provide for confidential law enforcement access to business and governmental and private computer network. These two approach can be complementary, and their relative weight depend on the difference and capabilities of implementing parties. The protective approach is less instructive, and it is likely to bring about greater cybersecurity and to to its user. However, there are significant obstacles to achieving adequate security. The reactive approach is inherently more intrusive and more threatening to civil liberties. Nonetheless, it may be more effective in case of indicate defense in safeguarding user and who are unable to afford or unwilling of to implement sufficient protective measures. Privacy in data protection. Among the issues considered here, privacy in cyberspace is the most controversial and publicly debated. Privacy concerns not only the context of law enforcement but also day-to-day business practices and an individual's ability to control the treatment of personal data made available and electronic format or accumulated during internet use. The commercial exploitation of personal data without consent is already leading to enhanced um, legal protection for privacy. The enforcement of such protection will raise the issue of the desirability of using protective versus reactive methods, leading to discussion of what can be done to ensure that any method used will protect privacy interests against unwanted instruction.
Hello everybody, before I start, let's introduce myself briefly. I am Rafael Singh and I am the next reporter. So the topic today is the value of law and status of privacy protections. Privacy is not absolutely defined of uniformly protect value individual organizations and societies have traditionally sacrificed. Some privacy is exchanged for greater security, economic gain or convenience. Trade-off between privacy and distribution by government industry each reflect the different historical and social contexts in which they were made. Protection of privacy was involved historical through international and domestic law. Privacy is fundamental human rights, recognized by 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and many other international and regional instruments and treaties. The Universal Declaration proclaims that no one shall be subjected or arbitrary interference with his privacy, family, home, or correspondent, nor to attacks upon his honor and reputations. The advent of information technology provides a new context in privacy and a new legal impetus for the protections of personal data. Legislation 1 collecting and handling personal data emerged in the early 1973 and the United States in 1974.
So now I'm going to discuss the privacy protection modes and constraints on measure against cybercrime. So there are several models of data protection have emerged: public enforcement, sector-specific regulation, and self-regulation, reflecting different legal approaches to privacy. The public official also including the ombudsman, commissioner or registrar, they enforces some comprehensive data protection law. So this official monitors compliance, conduct investigation into allied violations, and request legal actions in case of a breach. So official also is typically responsible for public education and international interaction with respect to data protection and transfer. There are three models of data protection have emerged, and each models have different legal approaches to privacy. First model is the industry self-regulation. It will be sufficient so as long as market forces undervalue privacy in cyberspace. Second, sector-specific. Rules may be sufficient, but protection may also fail if data are transferred or sold to entities in sector with lower standards. Third, the public enforcement has provided higher levels of privacy protection. However, it is vulnerable to the some problem. Transmittal of sensitive data beyond the networks of the country with strong legal enforcement or privacy is likely to result in decreased levels of protection. Protect personal data. This dependency has fueled an international controversy. The 1995 Europe Data Protection Directive requires that personal data may be collected only for specific, explicit, and legitimate purposes. Only relevant, accurate, and up-to-date data may be held. The dispute, nonetheless, is alarming. If the most advanced democrats disagree on adequate protection of privacy, agreement and observance of this norm can hardly be expected in a global setting that include least democratic and less accountable governments. It is important to protect our data and privacy to prevent cybercrimes and fraud, which may damage our reputation and our confidential information. From the standpoint of security against cybercrime, the 1995 Europe Data Protection Directive that does not necessarily impede law enforcement activities and international cooperation in cyberspace. The directive fully applies to the first two pillars of the Treaty of the European Union. First, the European Community, which covers democratization of the institution, citizenship, and economic and monetary union, and second, the common foreign and security policy. However, the scope of the directive does not cover law enforcement procedure. This means that there are opportunities of international cooperation against cybercrime and also threats to privacy in the course of such cooperation. Privacy-related law enforcement practices are being examined by the European Commission and may be subject to more intense security in the near future. There are already existing protective measures in identifying encryption, anonymous remailers, proxy servers, and other terminologies are commercially available. So this feature would enable the searching and tracing of suspect messages without prior disclosure of their content or author, thus protecting the identity of the sender and the secrecy of communication. So it is really important to know these mga protective measures to help us to protect our data and to have kanang
International Convention to Enhance Protection from Cybercrime and Terrorism. It combines protective and reactive measures with provision for protecting privacy and other civil liberties. The draft convention proposed to create a group of experts dedicated to the protection of privacy and other human rights. The International Convention to Enhance Protection from Cybercrime and Terrorism, to significant step forward combating cyber threats while safeguarding individual rights. This convention aims to strike a balance between protective and reactive measures, ensuring that privacy and civil liberties are protected. Example of existing conventions. The Council of Europe Convention on Cybercrime in 2001, also known as the Budapest Convention, harmonized national laws and improves investigate techniques. The United Nations Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime in 2000, or Palermo Convention, targets organized criminal groups and promotes cooperation. Benefits: enhanced to international cooperation to combat cybercrime. Second is improved protection of privacy and human rights. Third is uniform standards for cybercrime prevention and response. By combining protective and repressive measures with provision of protecting privacy and civil liberties, this convention aims to create a safer online environment while respecting individual rights. The use of automation. Important to enhance both security and privacy, the use of automated and semi-automated tools facilitates near real-time detection of security breaches, tracing the origin of attack, scalability of action. detecting intrusion among large volume of data involved in normal network operation, and responding to intrusion that may hop across international networks, and ultimate increase efficiency and effectiveness. Automation enhance security and privacy by leveraging tools like intrusion detection systems, AI-powered risk detection, and automated incident response. These solutions swiftly identify by counter threats, tracing origins, and scaling response across networks. By streamlining security operations, automation reduces human error, boosts efficiency, and protects sensitive data. For instance, Google automated system by millions of finishing email daily, while Microsoft Azure Sentinel uses AI for threat detection. Effective automation strikes a balance between technological capabilities and human oversights, ensuring contextual understanding and addressing complex threats. The use of automation play a vital role enhancing both security and privacy. Automated and semi-automated tools offers numerous benefits in unclouding. First is near real-time detection, identifying security breaches promptly minimize damage. Second is increased efficiency and effectiveness, streamlining security operations. Example of automated security tools: intrusion detection system IDs, monitoring network traffic for suspicious activity. Second is security information and event manage system, analyzing log data for security insights. Number 3 is automated incident response or chest rating response to security incident. Real world example: Google automated security system detecting and blocking 100 million phishing email daily. Microsoft Azure Sentinel using AI for threat detection and response. The third is the U.S. Department of Defense automated cybersecurity platform Thunderdome for real-time and threat detection. Automation enhance security and privacy. First is identifying threats promptly. Second, reducing human error. Third is scaling security operation. Fourth is enhancing incident response.